There were thousands who fought and died in the world wars, who never really understood what they fought for and died for. The true aims of the Second World War have been hidden in secret archives, because they are so incredible to us. Most historians who have recorded what happened during the global war never reveal most of what actually happened. At that time, there were a few historians who had seen incredible facts. It's amazing that they never write about it, because they can't even fathom it themselves. Others who look at these things are afraid to reveal the truth, because some readers will never understand it, while others are afraid that the ghost of the Illuminati will suppress their educational institutions if they publish, because it is very bizarre. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. However, those hidden rich secrets are very important and too big for us to ignore. Thus it began to leak out through the confiscation of Nazi diaries. The officers of the Naval Intelligence Bureau, who knew best the details of this secret document, decided to reveal it before they took the secret to the grave. In the 1970s, agents of the Xi'an International Intellectual Agency, a neutral civilian intelligence center, began to decipher the pieces of this super secret, one of the biggest mysteries of a long time, and one of the biggest secrets of the last 2 millennia. Why the true causes of the Second World War were not revealed to the ordinary people of the countries of the 1990s. The answer to that question, in part, comes from Hitler himself, when he declared that the true destiny of man is that which the average man cannot conceive and would not be able to digest if he knew about it. Our revolution is a final stage in evolution that will end with the erasure of history. My comrades were not aware of dreams which had haunted my mind, or which were of a complex nature, enormous, and would at least be done before my death. The world has reached a turning point, and will undergo an upheaval that ordinary people will not be able to understand. The above words were revealed by Hitler to the members of the Nazis, whom Hitler believed were not yet psychologically prepared to receive this terrible truth. The last World War was not simply a fight between allies and fascists, or between autocracy and democracy. It was a battle between science and magic, and science was won. It was also the extraterrestrial war of Galactic War III, when extraterrestrial civilization funded Nazi Germany. It once again funded the Americans to fight for control of planet Earth. Meanwhile, the army were only pawns in the chessboard of this war. It was a public document that publicized the fact that Hitler often went into a dream state and met and chatted with his military command advisor. Hitler's spokesman, Dr. Dietrich, testified that Hitler was possessed by evil spirits. Hitler believed that his secret commander was a Superman, a king who had ruled the earth in the time of Atlantis and Thor, and after the War of the Gods had led to the downfall of the Atlantis, who had migrated to live underground. Hitler said that he had been ordered to carry out the Nazi conquests from this king, who now lived inside the earth. In a conversation with the governor of Rausching, he tried to tell the Nazi leadership about the great difficulties of genetic modification creating a new species. Hitler replied, "Now that new man is living among us, he's here. Is that enough for you? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I've seen new species. They are very brave and cruel, and I'm sick of them." However, the Sirian-Orion conflict has raged across the galaxy for millennia. Mars and Mercury were victims of nuclear devastation during the Second Intergalactic War here. Marduk exploded and turned into an asteroid belt. The Pleiades constellations, Orion, and other planetary systems became a nuclear wasteland. The Earth has witnessed two nuclear wars in the last 13,000 years, and these Sirians and Orions have brought nuclear technology to use for the third time. In the early 1930s, there was a group of aliens called the K Group, or Kondroskans, who secretly contacted President Franklin Roosevelt Delano and offered technological aid in exchange for a treaty, and only a few knew the details of that treaty. It appears, however, that the Pentagon and military scientists and civilian links broke the deal, and the K Group left the Americans. They claimed that the Americans had misused technology and agreements. It appears, however, that the Pentagon and military scientists and civilian links broke the deal, and the K Group left the Americans. They claimed that the Americans had misused technology and agreements. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, world-renowned scientist Nikola Tesla reported that he made contact with the Pleiades and their allies on Venus, and that they shared with him the technologies that led to his invention of two-way current, the source of dozens of popular electronic devices today. Hundreds of tools are used in aerospace and electronics technology, and hundreds of patents. Tesla is arguably the greatest scientist of modern times. Based on the number of important patents in common, each of his technological initiatives is patented. Without two-dimensional current, Edison's invention of current would not be popular and useful to the majority. It can be said that he was Edison's best inventor, and also one of the two leading digital radio transmission technology inventors of this century. He publicly mentioned and praised the extraterrestrials with his inventions. This led many to think that he was a mad scientist. Early in the 20th century, Tesla invented a powerful two-way radio that could pick up smart radio signals from Mars and a base on Venus. Tesla was then assassinated, dying in 1943. Dr. Arthur Matthews and the great Canadian scientist Dr. Wilbur Smith went on to test this work with communications equipment. In the 1950s, they formed Project Magnet, the Canadian government's UFO investigation committee, and asserted that they had indeed located and communicated with a space base on Venus using Tesla's technology. The reports of the Magnet project, which I have read, contain many inventions attributed to the alien partner and have been developed by Matthews and have been of use. In the early 1930s, however, Tesla was a good friend of FDR and reportedly arranged a secret meeting between the Pleiadian ambassadors and the president. The Pleiadians reportedly alerted the president to secret communications between the aliens and Hitler, and the Greys provided the Nazis with technological blueprints to take over the world and use genetic technology to create hybrids between humans and them that can live in the Earth's atmosphere. The Pleiadians are said to have shared technology through Tesla to thwart Nazi attacks, and in return, when the Pentagon had to dismantle the war machine, and they changed our economy to share and exchange, and our government towards a spiritual council. The Pleiadians will not interfere in our government, but they will devise a new system, and if we do not agree with it, they will no longer support us. Roosevelt had rejected their demands as a threat to himself and the Pentagon's claim to economic power and domination. And naval intelligence gave priority to working with the Syrians and using the language of the defeated French Nazis. The early Greys gave the Nazis a technology far beyond that of the Americans, including guided missiles, jet aircraft, high-level submarines, and the Germans never lost a battle until the end of 1940. Their science was far ahead of Britain and the Allies. Meanwhile, most of the American military did not know that Hitler met with his advisors in a secret room and meditated every night, applying their mysterious rituals to the secret world. Bormann, Himmler, Göring, Hess and other top Nazi leaders all began as high-ranking members of the ancient Vral order from Atlantis, still surviving in the 20th century in secret chambers. Honey. The Vral order is associated with the Brotherhood of the Golden Dawn of the world's most famous magicians. Aleister Crowley, the ingenious member of the Nazis, was admitted to the secret society, or to the Teutonic Knights, or even to the Order of the Maltese Knights, under whose allegiance Mussolini of the Italian fascists was in command. The Thule Society in Germany was named after their traditional belief in the lost continent of Thule. In the golden age of the Teutonic Knights, a secret order that members of Nazi Germany had been admitted to before the war, the founders of the Nazi Empire assumed that the Aryans descended from the superhumans who ruled the planet from Thule during the Golden Age, and that the Aryans were destined to dominate the Earth in the Golden Age of the future. The Nazis believed that the history of our planet was in the period of civilizations that flourished and were also destroyed. There have been 4 original races on Earth in the past: Etherian, Thule, Lemurgian, Atlantan, and Nazi as the 5th original race, or the Aryans. The Nazis believed that the cataclysms of the world that occurred at the end of this century would destroy civilization on our planet, and that the masters of the world would appear and rise from within the Earth and would lead the Nazis to dominate the world. It was the Nazis' destiny to annihilate the races from other planets that had interfered with the evolution of their perception of the Earth, and only to spare the original Aryan races. Hitler considered the Jews as an inferior race from another planet. He had actually written so, although the Nazis failed in the Second World War. Whether all these plans are true or not has not yet been corroborated.